you do when your friend asks you to build a wine shelf for her? You build the wine shelf. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna do 2 wine shelves. You can always just do one, but she had a lot of wine glasses, so we'll be doing 2.
So these 2 wine shelves in total will hold 12 glasses, 6 per shelf. Plus, you could always store some wine bottles on top or maybe decorate it with a vase or something cool. So first up, 2 1x6x6s.
If you're only doing 1 shelf, you only need 1.
That's right.
And always check your boards, guys. Your hardware store a lot of times has crooked boards. So we could not get 6-foot boards because all of them were crooked. So we got a 12-foot board and we had it cut in half at Lowe's for free.
You will also need 2 1x2x8s, but remember, if you're only building 1 shelf, you only need 1 of these.
The last piece of wood that you'll need is a 1x4x8-foot board, and try to get the same type of wood.
Yes.
This is all gonna be 1 shelf. So you're gonna be able to tell if it's different woods, especially if you're staining it. The stain is gonna pick up differently on different pieces of wood. For tools, you can always use a hand saw for this. We tend to always use the miter saw just because it's set up in our space, quick and easy to use. And then you will need a drill, and it's optional to use a nail gun. If you do not have a nail gun, you can always get clamps and use that to hold everything together instead of a nail gun.
So we do recommend using some screws to hold the weight of the shelf, and we used 1.5 inches. We used 12 screws per shelf.
And then as far as your finish, that's the last thing you'll need. So paint, stain, seal, whatever you would like. We're gonna stain ours.
It was recommended by our friend.
So we'll be using her stain for this. So to make things easy, since we are doing 2 shelves, we want to make this as simple to understand as possible. So everything that we'll be going over as far as measurements and building, it's all going to be for 1 shelf.
So we're going to start by making all of our cuts. First, we're going to cut the 1x6. We're going to cut that down into 2 30-inch cuts. Remember to always cut off the nasty edge to get a nice clean surface so all your edges are the same, especially when you go to stain.
Next, we're gonna cut our 1x2, and this we're also gonna cut at 30 inches.
So still using the 1x2, we're gonna make 2 additional cuts, and those are gonna be just shy of 4 3/4.
So with the remainder of the 1x6 board, we just cut a bunch of 1-inch little slivers, basically.
Yeah.
And you'll see why we're gonna use these. We ended up using 5 total for our shelf, but of course, depending what size shelf you do, will depend on how many of these you'll need. So we just cut it with the rest of the wood, so we had enough to work with. And still with our 1x2, the last cuts we're gonna make with these are 2 6-inch pieces. All right, so now that we have all of our cuts, we're gonna go ahead and sand everything so we have all smooth edges.
All right, so we finished sanding. We need to go ahead and clean up all the wood, wiping away all of the dust to prepare for the stain. And how many coats of stain are we gonna put?
We're gonna do 2 coats, let it dry in between each coat completely. And then I was out of cheesecloth, you guys. So we have to use something new. And I got these little sponges when I was at Lowe's. So we're gonna try this out for the first time and see how it goes.
We're always open to trying something new.
So I love the sponges, they're amazing. I may convert from the cheesecloth.
Really? I know that you love the cheesecloth, so if you love the sponges, that's major.
All right, so now we're ready to assemble. This is the fun part. So what we're gonna do first is choose which side we want facing out, because there's always a prettier side to wood. So for the 1x6 that's gonna be up against your wall, there's gonna be a side that's against the wall that you won't see at all. So just make sure you're putting your prettier sides forward for all of the wood as we assemble.
So we're gonna start by attaching the 2 1x6s together. We're gonna use liquid nails and also our screws because this is gonna be holding the majority of the weight.
And we also did use clamps through this whole assembling process because basically clamps are like a second set of hands. So it's gonna hold it in place, hold it all tight. We're first gonna screw the back so that it's nice and secure, and you wanna wipe your excess liquid nails that may come out of the seams. Just use a damp paper towel or your finger or even a little screwdriver, which we did also, and get all that extra glue off.
So we're gonna add our 1x2s on the left and the right side.
And we're gonna screw it in from the back and the bottom. We were gonna nail it in the front, but we don't want any nails showing. We don't want to have to wood fill or do anything extra because we've already stained. So we're just gonna clamp it into place once we're done screwing it in.
So now we're gonna flip the shelf over, and the rest of our attachments are gonna be on the bottom.
Don't judge how the bottom or the back of this looks because you won't be able to see it. There's a little bit of glue issues going on, but you're not gonna see this, guys. So we're first gonna nail the front board in from the bottom. So we're just gonna add some nails in just to keep it in place nice and tight as the glue dries, and then we can move on to our bottom pieces. So before we add everything to the bottom, keep in mind that you can just use wood glue and clamps for all of this. It would take a little longer depending on how many clamps you have, but you don't need a nail gun for this. We're just using it because we have one. So we're gonna start with adding our 1x2s on either end. So one on the left, one on the right. We're gonna first put our liquid nails and then 3 nails to hold it in place.
All right, so now we want to find the middle point of our shelf, and we're going to attach the 1x1 that we cut to the center.
And make sure that all of these pieces that you're attaching to the bottom are flush to the front of your shelf, because they are only 6 inches long, but I believe the bottom is maybe 7 inches. You want to make sure that that 1-inch gap is in the back where you're not going to see it and where it's not holding wine glasses. You want it all flush to the front because that's the part you're going to see. So now it's time to add the rest of our 1-inch pieces. What was the size that we ended up going with between each 1-inch?
So we were just shy of 4 inches. I want to say it was 3 6/8, which made a perfect balance between each shelf, and it also gave us enough room for those wine glasses to slide in there and fit perfectly.
The last step, you guys.
It's gonna really tie everything together.
So you're actually gonna be able to put a wine glass on here after this.
Oh yeah. So what you want to do is you want to center your 1x4s, except for the ones on the very end on the left and right side.
Start in the center.
Yes, centered with that 1-inch board.
This is gonna give us a 1-inch space between the 1x4s, and this is perfect for most wine glasses. So you're gonna be able to fit a variety of wine glasses. Again, you want the 1x4 flush to the front of your shelf.
So something we didn't predict are the 1x4s for the very end on the left and right side. So we have a quick solution for you guys. We're gonna continue with the 1-inch gap for our wine glasses. And so we're gonna line that board up accordingly.
I marked it on the bottom so that the cut would be custom fit for both sides. So now that we have them cut to size, we can go ahead and add our liquid nails, nail them in, and it is complete, just like that.
Time to drink and have some wine.
So now we're gonna hang it up on the wall, and this is gonna get kind of heavy. Again, if you put wine bottles on here, you don't want this coming crashing down and glass all over the floor. So, solution?
Find the studs. If you can't find the studs, make sure you're using the correct anchor that is for the correct weight that you will be holding.
So now that it's hung up on the wall, we can add all our wine glasses, bottles, candles, whatever you want to decorate your shelf. And it is complete, and I love it.
I do too.
I'm so glad she had us make it because this was a fun one.
It was fun, and it was challenging, which I like. Planning all of this out, making it custom fit. It was really cool and unique, so this was definitely a first for us, and it turned out great.
Yes, I hope you guys make it. If you do, tag us on Instagram so we can see it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye guys.